right, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream, where we bring you those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential, companies going after massive multi-billion-dollar market opportunities that are at a key inflection point right now and with multiple catalysts in place. And that brings us back to next super stock, Hoth Terapeutics, HOTH, on NASDAQ, and the CEO, Rob Nye. Rob, welcome back.
Hey, Jack, thanks for having me, and really appreciate you taking the time today.
Rob, it's been a while since we've had you back on, so there's a lot to catch up on. Look, the stock has had a lot of momentum for the last couple of weeks, right since the start of the month. We've had big move in the stock. There's been some positive news flow, and one of the things we always like to say here is that the news flow is the pulse of the business. That's really the pulse you want to look for. That shows that the company is at the inflection point. And we have a lot of new people watching, so I want to kind of catch up on what exactly Hoth does, and we'll talk about the recent news flow, because there's been there's been about 6 news developments since we last had you on. I think we should just give a snapshot of each one to cover it, because I think that they really indicate that Hoth really is at that inflection point. I mean, the valuation of the stock is still cheap, even though the stock has moved up. We were about to hit almost a new high. Was it a week ago? We were over $2, and here we are. So, Rob, for anybody that's new to the story, can you give just a quick snapshot of what Hoth does, and like the drug development pipeline that you have? You have 5 major programs, right?
Yeah, I'll kind of walk you through where we are, and yeah, I really think the key thing that you've said today is Hoth is at that inflection point. We're at the point now where we're in the clinic on HT001, which is our drug for chemotherapy rash against EGFR inhibitors. 90% of patients who go through chemo develop this rash, and we're in the clinic with this. One of the only drugs currently, trying to cure this problem. It's really an unmet need. And we recently just applied for approval to start our trial. Not only are we active here in the US, but to start the trial in Europe as well, which is a very big deal. HT-KIT is our oncology drug that's licensed out of UNC, developed by Dr. Glenn Cruz. It shows that we have been able to kill tumors within 24 hours on mast cell tumors. We look to start that program in the clinic sometime in 2026. We have a drug that we licensed from the Veterans Administration for obesity, which we're super excited about. We'll be working with the VA and the United States government to bring that to fruition as well. So as you mentioned, we really are an inflection point. We have multiple shots on goal. As you know, since you started covering us, our stock has more than doubled. We think, we have a great opportunity here, lots of opportunity for investors and obviously for patients with these unmet needs.
Yeah, and yeah, even though the stock, again, it's doubled from, I think it was 90 cents when we started. We hit a little bit over $2. But here's the thing, we're looking for 10 baggers here. So unless it's a 10 bagger, it's not a success. Now the good news is the valuation is still relatively cheap. It's even though it's a $20 million valuation right now. You have 10 million cash in there, or I think a little bit more or less, right around 10 million.
So it's right around that area since our last Q, correct.
So basically, somebody's paying $10 million. That's really the net price for the assets, the business of the company. Again, you have 5 drug programs, multiple shots on goal. Each of these is a multi-billion-dollar market opportunity. I want to go through each of these news items one by one, just real quick to help people catch up. So, starting with the most recent one, you had news about was HT01, which is your lead drug. That's for the chemo rash. And now you're expanding, you're getting a patent to use it for menin inhibitors. So what is this exactly? Is that what in conjunction with menin inhibitors?
Right. So HT001, as you know, treats chemotherapy rash for patients going through EGFR inhibitors. There's lots of new drugs on the horizon, such as menin inhibitors. All of these drugs that are currently in development for cancer treatment, the biggest side effect is chemo rash, these cutaneous lesions that take over the face, the chest, the back, the nails even, and so painful. Not only do 90% of patients get this, over 40% of patients actually have to stop treatment, putting their life at risk. So there's a real unmet need. We're expanding the opportunity for HG001. We think that's incredible opportunity for the company. And, as mentioned, these are key inflection points for the company as we go through the trial, finish the cohorts, and have readout. So far, the signal has been extremely strong that all patients treated were able to continue their chemotherapy treatment with their EGFR inhibitors. So we're pretty excited today.
Okay, and I think over the summer, I think this was like right around July, you had that key opinion leader meeting with the doctor running the program. Can you? I think what happened over there? Like, what was the takeaway?
Yes, so I love bringing that up because Dr. Adam Friedman out of George Washington University and Dr. Jonathan Zippin out of Weill Cornell are both involved in the trial. And Dr. Friedman actually did an investigator-led study of a patient with breast cancer who was in horrible pain. And we showed the pictures, and they're on the website, I believe, where the patient had head, body, face, rash all over, horrible pain. They used HG001 for 2 weeks, were able to continue their treatment, their body completely cleared, and were able to continue and complete their cancer treatment. So pretty exciting. And if you see the before and after pictures, you're really blown away by them.
So it's a big deal. So this is so the drug, it's based it's working out right now. Right. I think that the data you're getting, I think last time we talked was you're also doing early what is it? Not early.
Yes, we're applying for expanded access. So that's for patients who are not enrolled in the clinical trial, but have no resorts, and they want to just try the drug and see if it could help them. So we're trying to make that available for patients who are going through chemotherapy treatment, EGFR treatments for their cancer, and aren't enrolled in the trial, but they still want to at least try the drug.
Okay, so this is, how big is the market opportunity for HT01, for this chemo rash drug that you're developing?
Oh, this is, look, we think this is a huge market opportunity because, as I said, there's nothing currently on the market for patients. So if you think about it, the only thing available today is corticosteroids. They don't really work well, antibiotics that don't work well, and ointments over the counter, such as Aquaphor. And, for the 90% of patients, obviously, who develop it, awful. For the 40% of patients that have to stop their treatment, life-threatening, right? So we think this could be a tremendous, tremendous market for it.
Okay, we're talking, like dollar-wise, what is the number? Just so people.
Yeah, it's tough for us to, give you those exact figures without, my legal counsel being not too happy with me. But I will say we think it's a tremendous opportunity. If you think about, you could multiply the math on how many patients are going through chemo on a yearly basis. And what we could, if it's $10,000 a patient or whatever it might be, you could extrapolate the math and see that this would be.
So basically, the number of patients undergoing chemo that develop.
Just in the U.S., you're talking hundreds of thousands, and then you're talking patients in Europe and other areas. So it's a big market to go after, and as I mentioned, there's nothing currently on the market that solves this issue.
Okay. I think you said, half of patients undergoing chemo develop this rash?
90% of patients develop the rash.
90%?
Almost 40% of patients actually have to stop the treatment. The rash is so bad.
Okay, so that's pretty serious. Okay, so it's a massive market because, the chemo market is a huge, it's a massive market. So this is almost kind of like what is the term they use? It's like it's like a ride-along drug. It's like a part of the treatment. It's like
it's a breakthrough therapy. We think there's nothing out there. We see at some point, it could be prescribed for patients, obviously, who develop the rash, and as I mentioned, 90%, or it could be prescribed 100% for every patient going through at some point. It could be used prophylactically, right, before you even get the rash to be able to have this. So, we think we have something really special here.
Okay, and so it's right now it's in phase 2. And what are the upcoming milestones in the?
So great question. We're waiting for approval to start in EU. We'll start those trials in Spain, Poland, and Hungary. We have the sites selected, waiting for site approval there. in the U.S. here, we're at MD Anderson, we're at UC Irvine, NYU, we're at some top hospitals here, in the United States. So we hope to have some data to continue to talk to investors, beginning of next year. So pretty exciting time.
Okay, so the trial, the phase 2 is going on right now in the U.S.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, and you're expecting data in the
Q1.
early. Okay, so in the next couple of months. We're in almost October basically. So
It's October already. Scary.
24. Okay, so you have that coming up. So that's one catalyst that a little bit down the road.
Yeah.
What about, okay, so we talk about HT-KIT, the obesity drug that you're developing in partnership with the Veterans Administration.
Correct.
What's going on there? Again, just to give people a snapshot. Now, this is essentially your goal is to develop an obesity drug. Again, we'll talk about what makes it different, how it works better than the other Ozempic or whatever.
Right.
But essentially, the idea is to have much less side effects, and also to do it in the
much
oral.
less side effects in oral. So,
Okay.
One of the biggest side effects, obviously, Ozempic and any of the semaglutide drugs, nausea, vomiting, lethargy. Right? Those are three big ones. Kind of tough to go to work and perform all your tasks, and as even as somebody who's at home with children, whatever it might be, if you can't get out of bed because of the nausea and the vomiting, right, or whatever else. Plus, there's gallbladder issues. There's been lots of side effects. We're working on a drug with the Veterans Administration. It was actually discovered at the VA and Emory University. We signed an agreement with the Veterans Administration to license this drug. We're working with them in preclinical trials at this point for all our proof of data, and we hope to have some of that released also in Q1. We're really excited about that drug as well. We also look hopefully to expand our relationship with the Veterans Administration and obviously, the White House as well. So we'll see. Hopefully we can, meet with some folks down there in the next couple months and talk about the things we're working on.
Okay. Now, the last two items I want to talk on, again, this to give people the full update. Again, Hoth is, I think, is really, it's an innovative company, right? And two things that part of what's part of the conversation of innovation right now is crypto and AI, and you have you've actually embraced both in terms of the crypto treasury strategy. Again, just to be clear, this is not a crypto stock. This is not. But what are you doing? Like, what are you doing in terms of crypto?
So we had a lot of investors reach out to us and say, hey, there's people are putting crypto assets on their balance sheet. Is that a way for us to have some exposure plus have return to us to help fund operations, right? If the crypto is doing well, it helps us fund operations, non-dilutive, of course. So our board decided that we could do some purchasing of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, which we have done. We have entered into those three different coins, using Coinbase as our prime broker for that. So, exciting. We've been approached, obviously, numerous times with different crypto treasury strategies, but our first and foremost, we're a biotech company. We're focusing here on bringing, therapeutics to patients that don't have any other treatment opportunities available to them. So we, like I said, multiple shots on goal, but we're also savvy enough to say, hey, if the company can have some crypto exposure, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, just to be clear, you have some companies that last week they were doing I don't know, cannabis or something. Now they're doing crypto, whatever. But okay, but this is essentially the idea is you have $10 million in cash, basically cash equivalents. Instead of putting it all in T-bills, you might want to put some of it into Solana, Ethereum, etc. Because obviously you want to have some different, you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. And also
diversification opportunity for some sort of enhancement to our balance sheet if they should do well.
Yeah, that's all. Okay, now let's talk about AI. That's, I think, the more interesting part. Like how is Hoth using AI tools for drug development?
I'm glad you asked that question because I don't think a lot of folks know that AI is a tremendous opportunity for biotech companies. Over a year ago, we started a subsidiary called Maryville.ai with the idea that we would put all our therapeutics through an AI engine, right? We had a small deal where we were able to work with some folks to help us develop what's sort of like an agent. I would use that using NVIDIA's bio platform. And what we're able to do is put our drugs into that platform and say, hey, are there other uses for these therapeutics? Or do these therapeutics work through brain, like the brain barrier, right? So we want to make sure that we're not missing any opportunities. And it's been really helpful. So our Alzheimer's drug, which is HTALZ, is reuse of an existing drug that we have. And we were able to reuse it and start, our preclinical trials that showed really great results in mice. So we used AI for that. We've used AI for HT-Kit. It's just a great tool. And I think companies that don't use it are doing themselves a disservice because there's so much information, so many prompts that we can use. And this database, whether it's NVIDIA, whether it's ChatGPT or others, give tremendous opportunity for biotech companies to, reuse or discover new drugs and have some sort of idea if they'll work prior to doing, expensive preclinical or clinical work.
Okay, so it gives you basically a lot of leverage, a lot more, and again, more shots on goal. I mean, lowers your
100%.
costs. It's a game changer. Let's talk about this HTALZ. Now, I don't think we've even talked about this. So this is it's an early stage Alzheimer's.
It's an Alzheimer asset that we developed in-house.
Okay.
We had preclinical work done out of Washington University in St. Louis, Dr. Carla Yude, and the results thus far that we announced were fantastic. They showed, really great ability to have patients, the mice obviously were the initial patients, show great cognitive function, great ability also as far as walking, moving, and so forth. So pretty good results. You can view them on the website. If you put in HTALZ, you could see the results. And we continue to move that drug forward. We're actually going to try to apply for some grants to try to help us with that drug as well.
Okay, and that was so HTALZ that was developed purely as a direct result of AI.
Correct.
Okay, and no, it's interesting. I mean, some of the biggest drugs, I think we've talked about this. Some of the biggest drugs on the market are things that were originally developed for another application, like
Absolutely.
like Agra, or Ozempic, right?
100% diabetics, and found out that it worked great for weight loss.
Yeah. So this is so. I mean, you may have even more. Okay, so essentially, and are you regularly using this AI tool?
So we look at AI for, okay, is this tool good to also screen for other assets if we wanted to buy other assets or leverage them and sell them, whatever it might be. So we constantly look and put things through an AI engine to see if, what might be interesting. That's actually how we found our asset actually for obesity. We have put through Maryville through the engine and found that on the VA was working on this, did some work and came back to it and decided to license it. So we've used AI numerous times. Yeah.
Okay. So essentially, so this is really interesting. So you basically now have two drug assets that came directly as a result of the AI tool.
That's correct.
That's really interesting. Okay. This is just in the last, 6 months, 9 months?
So the asset for so we started Maryville over a year ago, but the asset for the VA was recently. That's a few months ago that we licensed that, and that was AI driven, 100%.
Okay, so no, this is really interesting. Okay, so I think for investors, this is kind of a situation where you got multiple shots on goal, and the company is really evolving. Again, with AI and all these different tools that you have, I mean, this could be completely what Hoth is going to be a year from now could be completely different than what it is today. I mean, really
as you mentioned, I think the company's at a huge inflection point here. HT001 trial results at some point early next year. We know the signal's been very strong thus far. All patients are able to continue their treatment. Patients that have gone through, rash regression for them, so that's great. HT-Kit, hopefully, we finish our last tox study next year, get that into the clinic. And we've got a lot of exciting things going on, a lot of exciting programs.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, and I think again, one of the big point also is, the stock, the valuation is very reasonable. Like, basically a 10 million net valuation after you take the cash out for all these assets. And again, you get multiple shots on goal. This could be any one of these could be a 10x or even bigger. So okay, Rob, last question. What kind of what else can we expect in terms of news flow for the next let's call it 6 to 8 weeks?
Right. So as you know, Jack, I try to communicate as much as I can with the street. Give investors updates on everything we're working on. Whether it's still BC or HG001. We're looking for our EU approval to start the trial there. Those first patients, obviously, for the VA, the the obesity drug. We look forward to the preclinical trial get underway. That'll be led by the developer of the drug. We always like to work with the inventors. We think it's very key. It's their passion projects always. We want to keep them involved. And, as far as HGKit, we look forward to starting the last tox study. We've got a lot of things that we're working on. We'll keep everybody abreast of everything as we always do.
Okay, excellent. Rob, thank you again. And we'll catch up with you on the next live stream.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.